books that try to educate and socialize children about the world around them that may even touch on members of the LGBTQ plus community. Those books need to be banned. There's a new case called Mahmoud versus Taylor at the United States Supreme Court about books like that being used to educate children at a K through 5 level. First Amendment, knowledge, and the rest are all up for grabs. We cover it on Unprecedented right here on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. Take a listen. Let's move on to Mahmoud versus Taylor about LGBTQ plus books in K through 5 curriculum. I'm not quite sure. Is that like My Gay Dad Is Raising Me, like books like that? Like what to talk about what the factual background is, and is it like my two gay dads, or is it something else?
It's called Pride Puppy. The book at issue is called Pride Puppy, and it's about a puppy that was lost.
Sounds adorable so far.
Sounds adorable, and it's about a puppy that got lost at a pride parade. And, there's a theme here, right? I mean, the attack on the LGBT community in general is like a very real thing. So it's not surprising that we're talking about Trump attacking the rule of law, and then also a lot of these LGBTQ cases are coming in front of the Supreme Court. The interesting thing about this, though, is I'm not quite sure why we're dealing with the school system. It was the Montgomery County public school system. What they did is they had this book, right? And the curriculum. And interestingly enough, by the way, the parents that are suing this was like an interfaith group. It was Muslim, Jewish, Christian parents all coming together for this issue here across the board. And but what the school system did, which I think I'm surprised that the circuit court honestly sided with the schools, because the school said that they were not going to notify the parents, and the parents could not opt out of the curriculum, which I'm surprised, because as a parent who has kids in the school system, we always get notified. Let's say there's a movie that's maybe PG-13, if there's some violence, and we often get the option to opt out of curriculum. So I was surprised. That was the only thing that was surprising to me, was the fact that the parents weren't given the opportunity to opt out. But the circuit found that it was still not a violation of their free exercise of religion, because nothing in their mandated religion from them, even if they were kind of quote, forced to be confronted with this book, it wasn't an exercise of their religious rights.
Watching this administration tie themselves up in knots about people's gender. I thought the Republican Party remember when the old Republican Party, the grand old party, used to be about get out of my bedroom, get out of my pants. And now they just have their hands in all the wrong places, right? I mean, I'm a guy. You identify as a woman. Doesn't make me more of a guy or you less of a woman, depending upon how somebody self-identifies. I don't lose sleep over it. I don't shield my children's eyes from people that live a different lifestyle. I was in the airport recently in Miami, and I was coming around the corner. I was meeting my wife at a gate. She had the baby. I had the bags. And so sent her ahead. And as I was around the corner, there were two, I don't want to be stereotypical, but there were two overweight Americans, baseball caps backwards, sitting there in their 50s. And they were talking. And right at that moment, a person who I'm sure identifies LGBTQ plus came around the corner. Very tall, good-looking person, okay, that, I don't know, I'm sure is identifying as a woman, but had a male voice. And if you look closely, whatever, I really didn't care. I just said, oh, it's nice. By the way, dressed beautifully. Look great, dressed beautifully. These slobs over here decided they were going to start guffawing it up. Look at this. And I'm thinking, look at this. Look at you. Look at you. And what does that do? What do you care how that person carries themselves or how they identify? And why do you have to force them into a bathroom that makes them feel bad? And why do you have to force them into a construct of there's only two genders? Like, who gives a shit? I'm not a biologist. I'm not doing DNA testing. I got my own opinion about sports and transgender people, but Well, that's the tail. It shouldn't be driving the argument, about, they use it, right? Do you want your little 4-year-old to be run over by,
Right.
like a guy? Like, probably not. But I don't think that's the thing that should be the defining moment about how our society and our culture. When do we become so effing mean-spirited as American people?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's all bullying. It's like the schoolyard bullying, because it does not matter how somebody else decides to live their life. And the whole sports thing, Utah years ago just made it a case-by-case decision. I was like, if we like Utah can be reasonable about this, certainly we can have a conversation. When I was doing that poll observing in Clark County, the school board person who was running approached every voter and said, we got to keep the girls and the boys in school and this and that. And I thought to myself, like, this lady is like bananas. But the number of voters that agreed with her was like, whoa. And like that issue, obviously, for whatever reason, is like a great election issue for the Republicans. But to me, you are just being mean to the most vulnerable people in our society. And I know people, I live in Los Angeles, which is welcoming, thank goodness, to people who want to live their own life. And I know people who have children who are trans, and it's a very difficult situation for the family, and you're just making it more difficult for absolutely no reason.
Nancy Mace is an a-hole, and so is the Congress. 100%. That they have to belittle the congressperson from Delaware who's married with children, force her into whatever bathroom. I mean, what do you give a crap, Nancy? Mm-hmm. Are you worried? Because you equate all transgender people with pedophiles? Is that the problem? Then you'd hate to go to a Broadway show in New York, because if you go to a Broadway show in New York, men and women are in the same bathroom at the same time. I'm at a stall. I'm standing at a urinal, and like you're right next to me. Right. And it's like, and you very quickly get comfortable with that, especially when you got 10 minutes to take a pee break before the second act. So I was like, this lady, the first time it happened, I'm like, wait, this lady's going to be standing right next to me. And then I was like, I got to go. I just had a beer.
And I know. And there's no examples of any of this actually having a problem in the real world. I think California passed that law about the bathrooms being able to be used way back a few governors ago. There were no examples of problems. This is a manufactured problem. Because
we're back to homosexuals. We're back to homosexuals and gay or pedophiles. Right.
Exactly. I don't know somebody in my life, so I can other them. Yeah. I can make a fear thing around them.
By the way, you do, not you. If you're thinking that, you do. Yeah,
except the trans community is tiny, like really small. So I don't know.
Well, I'll give you an example of that. This whole big thing about transgender prisoners.
Yeah.
Putting transgender women into male population prisons. There's only 18 transgender in the entire prison population. So that also shows you they don't commit crime.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
They don't commit crime. I mean, they got enough to worry about to try to live a life of dignity. They're not also robbing, I've got that app Citizens, we moved into a new neighborhood. So I wanted to see all the sex offenders around my house. It's all men.
No, totally.
Men dressed 100%. As women or transgender.
100%. And, I just want to put it out there because there's a reason why people ban books, because books are the most accessible way to learn something outside of your world. And there's I've seen comments sometimes from videos I've posted where some people maybe don't quite understand the trans issue. They've never had that experience, communicate with experience. And there's a book that I recommend. It's called Gracefully Grayson. And it's from the perspective of a middle-aged kid. And I just think it's so if you are really still confused about this, like why it is that a child feels like they're not born in their own body, I would really recommend reading that, Gracefully Grayson, and recommend it to anybody else I know. Yeah. And I just, because, also on my library commission in my city, but I think books, there's a reason why there's a battle around the books, because we can open our eyes. I can be in a town and I can understand a kid from across the world or whatever. This is
reading.
Yeah, exactly. This is where we're at. So,
Yeah.
and it's okay to still not understand something too, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we continue to read and talk to people and listen and learn. It's like about growing.
Bigotry and prejudice is based on fundamentally on ignorance. That was DIna Sayegh Dahl. I'm Michael Popok. I curate the show. I curate Legal AF. And if you want to sit at the intersection of law and politics and learn about it like no other, these shows and these hot takes are really for people who are not practicing lawyers, of course, although we have a fair amount of practicing lawyers in our audience, I know, because they reach out to me. So I really appreciate you all being here with us. Join us every week for Unprecedented with DIna Sayegh Dahl, a regular commentator right here on this Legal AF YouTube channel. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button, help us continue to grow. We want to get to 1 million subscribers in our 9 or 10 month birthday. We're going to hit 500,000 at our 5 or 6 month mark coming up. Only with your help. Humbled by it. I'm Michael Popok. I'll see you on my next reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.